You'll find all the components of the PathFinder shipped on 2 pallets. Start by opening the box and checking the inventory. Find the package with all the nuts and bolts. We'll need 6 each of the 1/2 inch by 13 inch and a quarter long bolt setups to assemble the A-frame. Next, we'll unstrap and remove the left and right side of the A-frame and set them roughly into position. We'll start our assembly by attaching the left and right to the bottom center base Z-bar using the 6 1/2 inch bolt setups that we located earlier. Slide the bolt through the frame components and then a flat washer, a locking washer, and a nut. Do not tighten at this time. Next, we'll add the back spacer plate, and we'll need 4 bolt setups. No flat washers this time. And do not tighten these yet either. And finally, the last part of the frame is the front spacer plate. This will require 4 bolt setups, including the flat washers. Note that there is an extra hole in the front. This is used for alignment. A screwdriver can be placed through the holes to assist in assembly. With all 8 bolts in place and snug, find a straight edge long enough and adjust the front plate so that each end is flush with the edge of the PathFinder's frame. And now you can tighten up all 4 bolts at each end of the plate, making sure it doesn't move from its flush position. And also, tighten the bottom Z-bar and back center bolts as well. Next, we'll assemble the camera post. Slide the riser tube into the camera post so that the 2 bolt holes are out. Then slide the support ring onto the riser tube, slide it down a couple feet, and lock it into position by tightening the set screws. Next, we'll need all the components and bolt sets to assemble the camera mount. The swivel assembly is made up of the turnbuckle, an eye bolt, a nut, and a washer. Pre-assemble this first, as shown. Then assemble the housing. Start by attaching the enclosure bracket to the enclosure base plate using 4 1/4-20 bolt sets. Then attach the swivel to the enclosure bracket using a 1/2 inch and 5/16 bolt sets. Now attach the camera mount to the camera post. Start by bolting the turnbuckle to the camera post, and when it's finally tightened, make sure the turnbuckle is in line with the post. Now you can attach the camera mount to the post. Slide the swivel assembly over the post. Then align the holes and insert the 5/16 bolts with a flat washer on the bolt head side. You will also need another flat washer and a locking nut for the other side of the pivot assembly. Just slightly snug these bolts for now. Remove the standard pin from the turnbuckle and insert a 3-inch long 5/16 bolt through the pivot assembly and the turnbuckle, and you can tighten this bolt down. Insert the 2 set screws into the camera post and just snug them for now. It's best to pre-assemble the 3/8 leveling bolts. You will need 10 total, 6 for the light posts and the 4 for the camera post. Thread the leveling bolts into both the light posts and the camera post. Then tilt the camera post up and level it into position both ways. Now assemble the light posts. Start by sliding the light clamps over the lower post. Then thread the post into the light post stand and tighten it up. And then do the same with the top posts. Slide on the clamp and then thread the top post onto the lower post and tighten. Next, we'll assemble the lights to the post. Start by inserting the mounting pins into the flash and aligning the dimple with the bolt. Then remove the protective cover from the lamp by squeezing the clamp. Remove all the packaging, being very careful not to touch the bulb. And then insert the reflector onto the lamp assembly by squeezing the clamp. Attach a flash assembly to the top of each of the posts. One of them will need the flash receiver plugged in line with the power cord and the provided sync cord connected as well. Take note of or adjust the frequency setting. This must be the same as what's set on the transmitter of the camera. Now move all of the components into a rough position. Then we can level and hook up the computer at the photo station. Be sure to keep the USB keys, the targets, and the calibration square in a safe location. Now get the camera post and the slab frame into its final position. The distance between the two can be anywhere from 17 to 30 feet. It is important to get the A-frame centered and squared to the camera post. Make sure the distance from the right and left corner back to the post is equal on both sides. And now we'll anchor the post and frame into its final position. Start by locating all of the anchoring supplies. Drill the holes into the concrete through the frame so it does not move. Drill the holes about 3.5 to 4 inches deep, but not through the concrete. Clean the hole out very well. Use a pipe brush and a vacuum with an extension. This extension being used is actually the handle to a bottle jack. Pre-assemble the threaded rods by placing 2 jam nuts at the top. This is our anchor bolt. Fill the hole with epoxy. Stay about a ½ inch from the top. There is already a washer and nut underneath the frame tab. Now using a wrench, carefully support the bottom nut while you use an impact with an 1.1/8" socket to drive against the jam nut. Run it down slowly until it bottoms out in the hole. Then work the rest of the epoxy in around the bolt to seal it in better. Now while the epoxy cures, we can go drill the holes and put in the anchor bolts on the camera post. Drill the hole and then tap in an anchor bolt with a flat washer and nut on the top. Then tighten the nut to secure the anchor bolt into position. Now let's go back to the frame and we'll mount the 3 green backer boards. Place them on the provided 1x6s so there will be a small gap between the boards and the bottom of the frame. Now you can fasten the backer boards to the frame from the back side. Use the longer Phillips screws for the upper center and the shorter for the flat steel into the plywood. Now level in the frame, both front to back and left to right. Start by finding the lowest corner and raising it to the others. When the frame is level, adjust each one of the underneath nuts to apply a slight pressure to each frame mount. Then you can bring the top 2 nuts all the way down and tighten them to secure the frame into position. Then you can cut off and smooth off the mounting bolts. And attach the target board brackets to complete the A-frame assembly. Now prepare the camera for mounting. Start by hooking up the power supply. Remove the nut from the camera mounting block and thread the bolt snugly into the base of the camera to hold it firmly into position. Plug in the USB and run both cables through the cable connector. Attach the flash transmitter to the camera. Adjust the frequency to match the receiver. And you can press the test button to test out the connection. Set the mode on the camera to M. Set the focus mode to AF and turn the power on. Plug the other end of the USB using the labeled camera port. Plug in the camera's power supply and neatly zip tie all the cables to the camera post. Now we can place the lights into position. You can use the supplied drawing for dimensions, or it might be easier if you simplify things by using a rope, chalk line, or a hose like we did. Mark out the area using the main reference points provided in the drawing. Find a method and mark this area out on the floor. That will make it easier to see where the lights can be placed. In this drawing, the green area is ideal, the yellow is good, and there will be flash reflection issues anywhere in the red. So now you can place your lights into position, plug them all in, verify that they work using the test button on the camera's transmitter, and neatly zip tie all the cords into place. We will anchor these lights during the calibration process. And now with your PathFinder install complete, you can prepare for the calibration. Thank you for choosing Park Industries.